Welcome to the final tutorial on how to use Mendeley desktop software. Today we're going to look at what most people are interested in, and that's how to use the desktop software for creating in-text citations and also automatically generating a reference list. We're going to look at two ways of doing this within Word. We're then going to briefly touch on how to do this within LaTeX if you happen to be a LaTeX user. Before we get started, one of the things that I thought I would suggest is that periodically, if you're using the Mendeley desktop software, it's often useful to press this Sync Library button here. And what this does is it just updates your desktop software in terms of any new entries that you've put in or whatnot. But it also syncs your library here on your desktop with the online library that we looked at in tutorial 2. Now, if we wanted to use Mendeley for in-text citations and to create a reference list, the first thing we need to do is go to Tools and to install the MS Word plugin. I've had some problems with the MS Word plugin, similar to the problems that have often plagued EndNote in terms of stability. I think some things are getting better, but strange things do occasionally occur. Nevertheless, it's a useful time-saving device, as many of you who have written articles without something like EndNote will be able to attest. So, if we pull up Word after we've installed an MS Word plugin, you notice that along with all of your typical tabs, these are in German, apologies for that, you have this extra one, which will be the same in English and German, called Add-ins, and this will provide a whole bunch of buttons here for you for use with the Mendeley system. So insert citations is to insert an in-text citation. Insert bibliography is to insert a reference list at the end of your document. This button here you can choose between different systems. So I use the American Psychological Association. You might use Harvard or MLA or something like that, and you can choose those from this system here. The final button here of interest, export, becomes important, and I'll show you why in a little bit. So we've started up our little example text here, and we want to include citations at the end of this. We can do this in two ways. The first way is we can go insert citations, up will come a button, we can choose the library, so I'm going to choose the one I'm using with my students in a course this semester. And I'm going to type into this search field an article that's within that library. I can then click on that, press OK, and up will come the insert citation. The other way I can do it, at the end of this sentence for instance, is to go insert citations, go to Mendeley. I can then search through my system using all of the neat search features that we looked at in a second tutorial. I can then click on this one, and you'll notice that there's a send citation to word processor. I can click that, those buttons will disappear, and here we go. Here's our reference come back up again. So that's relatively easy to use. You can see the benefits of it. Once we've finished writing our article, we might want to insert a reference list. We can do that by inserting a bibliography, and up it comes. It's generally correct APA format. We can refresh that at any time just to make sure that everything is okay. You notice, however, that these annoying pesky little field tags come up, and that makes editing anything to do with these reference lists or in-text citations quite difficult. And one of the things I like to do at the end of writing a reference, if I'm using this, so for instance I might want to get rid of the retrieved from and also the issues here, is to go to export, and also to export without the Mendeley fields, and this will get rid of the hyperlinks here, or field codes, and you'll be able to freely edit the references without them reverting whenever you press refresh. Okay, so that's how to use Mendeley, I suppose the simplest way. But if you're a little bit like me, you tend to know the references that you want to use, and so you will use you will just include in-text citations as you go. If this happens to be something that you tend to do, then you might want to consider going to Mendeley when it comes time to create your reference list, and you can right mouse click on a reference that you're interested in, and you notice it has a copy citation button. You can then simply paste that in. You notice that this has the advantage of having no field codes, so it can easily be edited without having any problems of the bits that you delete coming back again once you've saved your document and reopen it later on. So if we move now finally to Mendeley for using it in a BibTeX or a LaTeX type environment, it gets a little bit more difficult because more things have to be done, and there's no buttons or point and click options here. But what you need to do is go to Tools, go to Options, and you notice that one of the tabs here is BibTeX. We click on that, we click on Enable BibTeX Syncing and LaTeX Special Characters, and we create a library here. Once we've created a library, every time we sync our library, not only will our online library be updated, but also our BibTeX library. Now, those of you who are familiar with LaTeX, for instance, will be used to typing away and then including cite and then the citation that you would typically use. This is somewhat streamlined in Mendeley by being able to click on any document, right mouse clicking and copying the LaTeX citation, and by doing that up comes what we need. The problem I have with using Mendeley for creating BibTeX libraries is that it often creates a whole bunch of fields that you don't want within your BibTeX library. So for instance, it creates the URL, includes the issue number, and often includes some notes and other things which can be quite annoying. And obviously with LaTeX it's not as easy as Word to just go in and delete those things from your reference list. As such, what I've been doing is once I've exported my library to BibTeX is using something like JabRef or another management software just to be able to edit the references that I'm going to use to make them clean up. If anybody has any ideas on how to more simply get around the inclusion of URLs and issue numbers within something like APA site, I'd love to hear it in the comments section. A final note on using LaTeX is you notice that in the details section here, when we click on an article, is that there's a citation key here, and that's what will be used within LaTeX to cite various articles. Mendeley will typically create one of these for you when you pull an article in. Sometimes they're not overly sensible, or sometimes they're quite long, so occasionally you might want to change them. So that is essentially it for my 3-part tutorial on using Mendeley. Thank you for listening. Catch you next time.